My job is to keep individuals and businesses from being unfairly ambushed by reporters during a crisis. In fairness to dedicated news reporters, sometimes ambushing a newsmaker with cameras rolling is the only way they can get a newsmaker to go on the record. The best way to keep that from happening is to have a crisis news management plan. If one of your chemical plants in South Korea or some other place explodes, killing 100 workers and nearby residents, that's when you put that crisis news management plan into action. Now, that plan is something that you and I would have already created in advance. And when we created it, we hoped we'd never have to use it. But now, the worst has happened, and it's time to implement that plan. You obviously will have notified the appropriate emergency response agencies, and they will be on the scene doing their part. You will also be going to the scene, rolling up your sleeves, and you will be sending in your teams, company representatives from all over the world, to assist the victims and the community during the crisis. You are also going to be sending out news releases to let the public and the media know this. Now, let's suppose a TV news crew catches up with you before you've left the U.S. Let's suppose they catch up with you as you are leaving a really plush restaurant where you've just had a very expensive power lunch with some of your biggest investors. Well, you're already starting off on the wrong foot, because if your company has just experienced a catastrophe, it would be highly inappropriate for you to be dining with investors at an expensive restaurant. Remember, appearances and the public's perception are everything. In fact, you need to cancel any company function that involves any kind of festivities or celebration. This is a solemn time, and if you are participating or being seen in such a setting during this solemn time, it makes you appear to be insensitive and uncaring. This is a time when you want to issue a statement letting everyone know that you care. The biggest mistake that the corporate world always makes during times of crisis is that they refuse to comment to the media. You hear it every day. A news crew is chasing someone down a hall or down a street, and the person they're trying to question is saying, "No comment, no comment, no comment." Why in the world would anyone do that? Well, if there's an accident where a corporation may be liable, the corporate attorneys advise their people not to talk. And while this may be appropriate advice inside a courtroom during a trial, it is not appropriate for this scenario. Too often, corporations and individuals leave their media relations up to their attorneys. Now, attorneys do an excellent job for you on legal issues, but when it comes to the media and media relations, it's a completely different animal altogether. Remember, it's not about facts or figures or guilt or innocence. It's about perception. When you refuse to comment, it makes it look like you are guilty of something or you're hiding from something. It also makes you seem distant and cold. There is a lot that you can say during such a crisis, and it doesn't require you to admit fault, nor does it increase your liability. What you can say is, our hearts and prayers go out to all of those affected, and we are responding right alongside the emergency crews to assist in any way. In the meantime, we're setting up phone banks so that families of those involved can get the most current information involved. Now, which sounds better? No comment? Or our hearts and prayers go out to all of those affected? Let's suppose your company doesn't have the best track record for safety, and you've been in trouble before because of your questionable safety record. What do you do if a reporter comes up and asks you a really loaded question? A question like this: Mr. Jones, given your company's past history of safety violations, how can the public be assured that your company hasn't cut corners again, endangering not only your own workers, but now residents who live around your plant? What you normally expect to hear a CEO say after something like that is, "Get out of my face with that camera," or "No comment." Now, what kind of message does that send? Here's how you want to respond. First, forget all the negativity in the question and answer in the most positive and proactive way you can. And keep a calm tone in your voice. Raising your voice will make you sound arrogant and condescending, and you certainly don't want that. You want to be as open and honest as you can be. For example, say this: Our number one concern is the health and safety of our workers and the surrounding community. We're actively assisting rescuers and responders as we speak. We've also activated our own emergency response teams from our facilities around the world. We're sending in equipment and supplies. We want to ensure that everything that can be done is being done. Now, that's something that'll get you a quote in the paper or a soundbite on the evening news. Did you hear all those active words? But you say, what if the media keeps asking those same negative questions over and over and over again? Well, keep a calm tone and just keep answering with the same positive answers over and over and over. And remember, if that's all they've got to report, that's all they're going to report.